Okay, this is the talk about TDD. Actually, it's kind of a hands-on approach. We are going to code together. I'm sorry if you entered the wrong room. My name is Marcelo. I work for Good Game Studios. And to start, I would like to ask you, who here is familiar with the concept of TDD? All right, good. Who here practice TDD on regular basis? Great. All right. So the idea is probably you have already read about the TDD. Probably you got very excited about the topic. I certainly did in the first time I heard about that. But when it comes to put TDD into practice, it's not very simple, not very easy. Often we get very disappointed. So the idea here is to work on a very simple library. It's hosted on GitHub under mjacobus. This is my username, and the project name is SimpleDB. And the goal here is just to have a very simple database written in PHP just for fun, and just so we can practice a little bit of test first approach. So how this library will work? We have here the README page. If you want, you can clone this repo and play a little bit later or now if you want. This is under the namespace Kini SimpleDB, and we are going to build an adapter. This adapter will read content from a JSON file, and it will return array, a collection of arrays. And then it has a very simple interface. It will respond to write and read. When we write, we will pass an array as argument. And when we read, we won't pass anything, and it will just parse the JSON content of the file and give us the array representation of that data. So far, so good? Please don't hesitate to ask questions at any moment. And then, after we have this adapter, we'll be able to actually work on this very simple database. And why we are using an adapter here? Because the first thing that we are going to implement is this JSON file implementation of this adapter. But maybe later on we are going to implement a YAML or XML or CSV, whatever. As long as our adapter responds to the same interface, we're good to go. All right, so after we have this adapter, and we are going to work on this class, SimpleDB, and probably we'll be able only to implement a few methods, maybe 2 methods on this class. For example, if we are finished, we will have this method find, which will pass an ID as argument, and it will return whatever is inside the database with that ID. And the first method in this class that we are going to implement is this find all, because this is the simplest one. And later, if we have time, we will be able to find all methods or records with a given criteria. Could be a collection of criteria. Understood? All right. So let's get started. I have the project already here. The only thing that I have here is this interface, adapter interface, and as said already, it will respond to read and write. So first thing that we need to do is create this JSON file, as we have here. Oops. Here at the top, the class will be named Kini SimpleDB adapter JSON file. So let's do that. Okay, so this is our class so far, and now we are going to write a test. Is it okay to have, well, let me try first. Yeah. And adapter. All right, so here we need our object, which will be, we will instantiate the class here, JSON file, and if everything was, yeah, it says no tests were found. So as we want this class to implement this interface, is it okay to have both files here, or is it too small? Okay. So we have tests on the right side and the class on the left side. So the first thing that we want to make sure is that this class implements the adapter interface. So let's write a test for that. Everybody familiar with PHP unit? Okay. All right, so we have a method here called assert instance of, and then this object. Okay, so this is the first test we are going to run. And when we run, we have a failure here, which is must implement the interface that we wanted to implement. So why would we first make a failing test? Anybody would like to take that?
That's the whole point of the test-driven development, because you want to go from REST to
Yes, yes. And what may happen if we don't see our test failing?
So your test is not working correctly because it does not test what it's supposed to test.
Exactly. And it might happen that if we run our test and we didn't implement and it's passing, when our class is not working, it will pass anyway, so we will not detect any failure or any unexpected behavior. So what we need to do now is to actually implement interface. And if we run our test now, oops, what happened? Okay, I cannot use mouse here. Let me see. Okay, now I think I can. No, whatever. What? Okay, let me see, check that. I don't know why I cannot.
Because in the teamwork session, I see.
Yeah.
You can't scroll the teamwork session with your mouse.
No, yeah. I can disable that, but anyway, well, I'll do this. I'll exit Tmax. And okay. No, JSON. Okay, now I can scroll. Thanks. Yeah, actually the error here is that we said that we are implementing the interface, but actually we didn't declare the methods that we must. So let's do that. And first one is read, and second one is write, and it will take array as argument. So if we run our test now, must be, instance of must be class or interface name. So someone said I misspelled, right? Adapter interface. Okay. Does anybody see what? Second line? I'm sorry?
Switch the T and T.
T.
You misspelled the word adapter interface.
Okay, adapter interface 0 in the other file. Here. Ah, adapter. Okay, yeah. Is not correct, right? Okay. And we are actually, thanks. This is a big pair session, all right? Thanks for that. All right, so we implemented our first test, and now what we want to do is to implement the read method. And for the moment, we're going to implement only this method in this class because we won't have much time, I suppose, to go over everything, all right? So first, we are going to test that we can read the data in the file. So one thing that we can do here is first to write a file. So file, oh shit. Put contents, is it? Contents. Contents, all right. And then path, and actually some JSON data. And our JSON data here will be maybe foo bar. All right. So, oops, JSON data. And now this object get or read should return what? Yeah, and expectation will be array foo bar. Is it correct so far? All right, so this assert equals data or expected and data. So what we are doing here, we are saving the JSON data into this file, and then we are going to read it back, and we want it to return an array. All right. So what happens when we run the test? It actually fails because it's not returning anything. Okay. So let's open the file and make it pass. So what is the simplest way that we can make it pass? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Just making sure you're paying attention. Thank you for that. Okay, if we do that, foo bar, I think we're going to make our test pass. But of course we are cheating, right? So let's refactor that or make it actually work. We could add extra tests, of course, but for the moment let's not. Okay, so what we can do then, this something that we need to do here actually. We need to pass the file name in the constructor because this will be the source of data. Data JSON, I think it is, right? Okay, so now let's do our constructor, and it will take a file. This file equals file, and file will be a string. Okay, so now the constructor file. Ah, yes. Okay, thanks. And now what we can do is file get contents this file, and then we are going to have the string representation of this file, and return JSON decode contents. And if we run, it's not fail. Of course, we have a second parameter. I think it's to return array. Otherwise, it will return std class. All right. So we have our first test failing. Do you think we need to test anything else in this method?
Test that the file exists. If you are running it without an existing file, what happens?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is a good point. So, what do we expect when the file doesn't exist?
Perhaps an exception.
Perfect. I would agree. So, throws an exception when file do not exist. And then we have this annotation in PHP unit, which is expected exception. Hope no typo here. And then for the moment, let's go with exception or invalid argument, right? Okay, so now this object, let's see, equals new JSON file, and then let's pass something that doesn't exist. TMP non-existing file, for example. And then, if we run, we have an error. So we know we are not testing that. Fail asserting that exception is thrown when the file do not exist. So let's fix that. Okay, so let's verify then if the file exists. If file exists, this, or rather, let's do that in the constructor. Should we? Better? Okay. If file does not exist, throw new, what is that? Invalid argument exception, and we can say file does not exist.
The scope of line 16 is wrong.
Lines, oh, set no relative, no. Okay, line what? Which one?
16, I think it was 16.
Okay.
The scope is wrong for file. It's file.
Ah, yes. Thanks. And now our test is passing. Of course, now here we could add more tests. For example, maybe the file does exist, but we are not able to read that file. Or maybe later, when we want to write the file is not writable. So we can keep adding tests that will set our expectation for this class. But now, let's worry about the next class, because we won't have enough time to finish this one. So let's create our simple DB that will use actually this class. So let's do that. And that will be simple db.php. And the namespace kini simple db. And this is the class. All right, so let's create a test. Okay. Kini simple DB, and let's fix this namespace here. All right, looks fine to me. Let's see. Yes, so far no test found.
I have a question. Would you do this at home? So would you start the next implementation before exhaustive testing the first one, or?
Yes. You mean in the first class?
Yeah.
Yes, I would write more tests until I'm satisfied that that class is actually finished.
Yeah.
But we don't. Yeah. I think 2 hours maybe we could get everything done. Well, let's see how far we can go. All right. So now we have our adapter, and we are not going to use our adapter in our test because we just started with the adapter because it's a simpler test. But now, as we have an interface, we can test against the interface, and we can mock that, and we'll see in a second how it works. So this class would have a constructor. Yes, and this will take adapter interface. Thanks.
And that is also, you have switched the TDD.
Sorry?
That's also the PHP switch in adapter.
I don't know why I always do that. Okay. Adapter. What? Okay. Yeah. Good to go, right? Okay. Just to check if nobody's sleeping yet. So let's use Kini simple TP adapter. Damn it! In adapter, one more chance. Adapter interface. Yes. Okay. And now the method that we want to test is find all, right? I suppose. Let's check. Yes, this method that we are going to implement. Okay, so back to our tests. Let's set some expectations here, and okay, can find all records, or returns empty array when no record exists. I'm not sure if this is grammatically correct, but doesn't matter. Okay, so our expectation is this fixture. In this case, I will rename that to DB. Find all and this will return something. And empty array it should be. All right, and then here we have to pass. Well, let's run the test. The test will tell us what we need to do. So it says we need to pass an instance of adapter interface to the constructor. So let's do that. This adapter, and here this adapter will be this get mock adapter interface class, and let's just declare this here, adapter interface, and let's use it again, adapter interface. Okay, so now we fixed that problem. Please notice that we are letting our tests tell us what to do, so we don't have to be smart, we have to be obedient. to the test. So let's implement that. Oh, and it says no won't match array. So let's do that. But there is one caveat here that we are going to ask to get the data from the adapter. So we need to tell the adapter this mock object will actually mock, all right, the interface. We are going to tell, hey, when I invoke this method on you, I want you to return this or that value. So this adapter what is that? This adapter expects this once.
Should receive.
No, expects. Yeah, should receive is when you use prophecy. Okay, and actually, yes, mockery. Yes, on prophecy you just call the method and tell it what it returns. All right, so expect this method read, which is a method that we are going to implement in the. We just implemented in the class that we created. Will this return value, and it will be an empty array. Any questions here? I see some faces that want to ask some questions. All right.
You're just saying that the protected adapter variable in the class isn't used at all because it's misspelled again.
Which one?
So the adapter word. This is
Line 15.
The protected adapter.
Ah.
Just copy it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, all right. So it's still not returning our data, right? So what can we do to actually make it pass? Not this file. Is not this file. And okay, this file now. So if we just return array, it will fail. Why? Because we had some expectations on our adapter that were not met. We said when this method will be invoked, but we didn't. So we could just as well say this adapter. Okay, now that's the chance. Okay, adapter. Yes. And read. And of course we call the method on nothing because we didn't set this adapter here. So this adapter equals adapter. And maybe now the test passed. But it's still not fully working, right? Because we are just cheating. We are calling the method, but we are returning nothing. So let's write one more test. At least one more test. And this time we are going to return some actually data from the adapter. So returns whatever is in whatever data the adapter provides. And now we can just copy this because it will be very similar. But now we are going to return, I don't know, who. We don't really care what is it's returning here because you're just going to return this test whatever it returns. I'll just do it here. Data All right, and then this will return data. And now our expectation is data. We expect it to return full. So let's run the test, and now it fails. But it's a very simple fix. Any guess? Yay, we made it. All right, so this is a very silly test, right, so far, but now things are going to get more, not complicated, but well, you see. Now let's create a test that we want to filter whatever data is coming from our adapter. So what we want to implement now is this, right? Because we already have find all. This is working. Now what we want is find all with a given criteria. So let's do that. Find all can filter based on input criteria. Okay. So now again, let's copy this because this will be kind of similar. The data that this will return now is something like will be a collection of data actually. So full bar, and this will be a full bus. All right. So we are simulating that we have 2 records in our database, and we want to filter one out. So it will return, the method will be called once again, and it will return all the data, but now our expectation will be different. Expected, let's see, we'll pass as criteria full bar, right? So we only want the first record. Clear so far? All right. So our expectation will be a collection of only one element, full bar. Okay, so now when we run our test, this is failing because it's returning, we can read the diff here, it's returning one more element, all right, because we're not filtering out. So let's implement that. So now here we have data, and let's see, raw data, filtered data, so for each raw data as record, what we're going to do, if data criteria equals, and then, oops, let's do it here, criterias, field, and then here for each criterias as field value. Hopefully this will work, I have no idea. Then filtered data will have record also. And we're going to return filtered data. Do you see any bug so far? Yeah, there is something. Okay. So we made our test pass, but we broke the first one, right? Returns whatever the adapter provides, because we are not filtering that out. So let's see, if criterias return filtered or raw data. And what's the problem here? Criterias, raw data. Define variable data online. What is that? 30. Yes, it should be. Yes, but it should be returning this raw data here, right? Because we have no criteria, unless I misspell this again.
Yeah, but there's a syntax error.
This is what?
There's a syntax error. The data variable isn't existing at all. It should be read data.
Sorry, which line? Here. Here, right? Data here doesn't exist. Filter data.
Inside the two for each.
Yes, but it should be returning this. I think this method is.
Yeah, but if you can do equalization and the if count data doesn't exist.
This?
There is no way to
932.
Line 32. Filter data here, and record. Okay, but now when if data fields. Okay, yes, here's the error, but it shouldn't get so far, because...
I think it's the other test which is failing, maybe. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Which test fails?
The test that is failing is the one that we created earlier. Yes. So we should return whatever is in the adapter, because we have no criteria. Maybe this is not evaluating to false.
This test doesn't fail. It will return whatever, but the next test fails because it doesn't filter. The one
Yes.
test you fixed is fixed now, but the second test is broken.
You mean this? Oops, sorry.
The internal PHP data says that there's an syntax error. That means your file will not be interpreted at all. So
Okay, it's a syntax. Where is that? There's no syntax error here.
Yeah, you have the variable data, one line down from there.
Yeah.
Right, the data variable is not existing.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so maybe right now, criteria. Yeah, thank you. Sorry for that. Yeah, so now we managed to filter this data. Do you have any questions? Could you understand what is the process here? Yeah. All right. We could go on and just implement whatever we need to implement here. But the idea is that you get to know how you could do test-driven development by test-first approach, because as I said, sometimes it's just difficult to get started. And I hope this helps somehow, and anybody of you that could not do that so far, I hope that you will be able to do so. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I will write down this is my GitHub account, mjacobos. Here you have my About Me page. I have my mail. I would be very happy to help you if you want to get started, but somehow you're stuck. This is one of my favorite topics. Yeah, please just get in touch, and that's it. Thanks.